For inequalities, we're going to use the same steps as solving equations. The first thing that we do is separate the symbol. We're going to remember to work on the side that has the variable in order to get the variable alone. When we deal with equations and inequalities, we do the reverse order of operations, which usually means the number farthest from the variable. And when we deal with inequalities, we're going to graph on a number line. So something that you need to know in order to graph it on a number line is that a closed dot is used to represent a greater than or equal to symbol or a less than or equal to symbol. So a greater than or equal to or a less than or equal to symbol. So if it has the little line under it, then we know it has to be a closed dot. For an open dot, we're either going to represent greater than or less than with no line underneath it. So if I had the problem x is greater than 3, I would start with the number 3. And I would plot that on my number line. And now I know that there's a dot that goes over it. So the question is it open or closed? Since there is no line under this, then I don't fill this in. If there was a line, then I would fill it in. So this is an open dot. And since x is larger than 3, my arrow is going to point to the right because the numbers larger than 3 are to the right. And that's how we graph this on a number line. So if I wanted to do x is less than or equal to 2, I would start with plotting the number 2 on the number line. Now since it has the line under it, right here, we are going to have to fill this in. So the dot has to be filled in, okay? And it says x is less than 2, so it should be all the numbers that are smaller than 2. So it pointed to the left. So let's go ahead and start solving an inequality. Here's one. The first step is to separate the equal sign, just like with the equations. Now I have two numbers with x. X is on the left side, so I'm going to cover up what's on the right side, and I'm only going to look at the side with x. And here I have a 4 and a 2, and I'm going to look for which one is further away. Now the reverse order of operations tells me automatically I should do addition and subtraction first. So I'm going to get rid of the negative 2, and I do that by doing the opposite of negative 2, which is positive 2, and I do that on both sides. Now I bring down the 4x because I haven't used it yet. And negative 2 and positive 2 cancel out because they equal 0. I bring down my sign, and 10 plus 2 equals 12. And I'm left with 4x is greater than 12. Well, I'm still trying to get x by itself, and x is still not by itself. We have a 4 with it. Now this means 4 times x because there's no operation. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So instead of doing 4 times x, I'm going to take each side and I'm going to divide by 4. Now when I divide by 4, these 4's cancel out because 4 divided by 4 equals 1. And all that's left over is x. I bring down my symbol, which is still greater than, and 12 divided by 4 equals 3. So x is greater than 3. So if x is greater than 3, I'm going to then have to put this onto a number line. So I start at 0, and my number is positive 3, so I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and here's 3. Since there is no line underneath the symbol, we're going to put an open dot, and x is bigger than the 3, so it should be an open dot going to the right. So let's try another one. This time I have negative 3x plus 9 is less than or equal to 3. So I once again have to get rid of the 9 first because of the addition subtraction. So I have to do the opposite of positive 9, which is negative 9. And what I do to the left side, I have to do to the right. So this time I have to bring down a negative 3x. You can't forget that symbol in front of it. My 9's, a positive 9 and negative 9 equals 0, so that cancels out. I bring down my symbol, and 3 minus 9 is negative 6. Well, here's the only thing that's really different about equations and inequalities. With inequalities, since the sign is not an equal sign, I have to remember that when I multiply or divide by a negative number, I have to flip the sign. And since my next step is to get rid of this negative 3, I have to divide by negative 3. So since I'm dividing by a negative number, I have to flip my sign. And negative 3 divided by negative 3 equals 1. Bring down x. Negative 6 divided by negative 3 is positive 2. So x is greater than or equal to positive 2. And if I want to put that on a number line, I'm going to start with positive 2. Since it has the line underneath it, I need to make sure I fill in my dot. And x has to be bigger than 2 because my sign is open to the x. So it goes to the right. All right, here's one for you to try on your own. 2x plus 1 is less than or equal to 7. The question that I want you to answer is, do you need to flip the sign? Why or why not? And don't forget to graph this on a number line. You don't have to number all of them. You do have to put the answer somewhere, just like we did in the problems. All right, if you have any questions, come back to class, bring them to me, and I would be happy to help you.